Numbers 15 1-41, through the Bible. Chapter 15. Theme: God's purpose is not destroyed, the death penalty for breaking of Sabbath, the ribband of blue. We have seen that the children of Israel had come to a point of decision at Kadesh Barnea. As you know, decisions are the difficult things for all of us in this life. This is especially true for the Christian. Many times, we come to the crossroads, and we are not sure which way to go. But it was crystal clear to these people which way they should have gone. They faced the choice of entering the land by faith or turning back into the wilderness in unbelief. They made the wrong decision and turned in unbelief. However, when they looked at the wilderness, they changed their mind and decided that the promised land with its walled cities and giants was not so bad as the wilderness, so they attempted to go into the land. This was not a decision of faith, it was a decision based on their experience of 2 years in the wilderness. They presumed to go into the land. Presumption is as dangerous as unbelief. A businessman of my acquaintance had a responsible position, then was laid off from this position shortly after he had bought a new home and new furniture. His question to me was, why would God let this happen to me since he had led me to buy the house and furniture? I told him, I remember that while you were looking for the new house, you mentioned that you were not sure of the leading of God at that time, and you specifically mentioned that you didn't like the area, yet you bought the house. Now you are blaming God for all of it. Could it be that you moved by presumption rather than by faith? He said, well, I just thought God would bless me. My friend, we need to be extremely careful whether we are moving by faith or by presumption. Somewhere between these two is the will of God. It is important to spend time waiting upon the Lord to find out what His will is. Now we enter that division of the book of Numbers from chapters 15 to 25, which I call, faltering, fumbling, and fussing through the wilderness. At Kadesh Barnea, God has turned them back into the wilderness. Walking is turned to wandering, marching is turned to murmuring, witnessing is turned to wailing, warring is turned to wobbling, singing is turned to sighing, and working is turned to wishing. Unfortunately, I must say that a great many Christians go through life just like that. Now, the interesting thing is that these are silent years. There is no record of them anywhere. We are given only a few incidents with no connected history. However, we are given indications of the general characteristics of those years. In chapter 33, which is about as uninteresting as any chapter could be, we will find the log of the journeys. We can fit the recorded incidents into this log, but it shows us that we are not given a detailed account of those years. The years are wasted years for the children of Israel. When we get to Joshua, chapter 5, we will learn that they did not circumcise their children during this period. This shows that they were not fulfilling the will of God relative to the covenant that God had made to Abraham. We also know that they did not offer sacrifices to God. Have ye offered unto me sacrifices and offerings in the wilderness 40 years, O house of Israel? Amos 5:25. These sacrifices pointed to Christ, and they were not offering them during the 40 years. Not only that, but we also know they worshipped idols during this period. But ye have borne the tabernacle of your Moloch, and Kian, your images, the star of your God, which ye made to yourselves, Amos 5:26. Stephen relates this again in Acts. Then God turned, and gave them up to worship the host of heaven, as it is written in the book of the prophets, O ye house of Israel, have ye offered to me slain beasts and sacrifices by the space of 40 years in the wilderness? Yea, ye took up the tabernacle of Moloch, and the star of your God Remphan, figures which ye made to worship them, and I will carry you away beyond Babylon, Acts 7:42-43. So we see that the children of Israel were not faithful to God during this period. These years of wandering have many lessons for us today. We are pilgrims and strangers in this world. In God's sight, the world today is a wilderness. It may not look that way to us. Down here in Southern California, we have never felt this was a wilderness, but God sees it as a wilderness. You and I, believers, are just passing through this world. We are strangers and pilgrims. Let me emphasize again, the whole theme of this chapter is that they can delay God's blessing, but they cannot destroy purpose. Notice that although the children of Israel have turned back into the wilderness, God says they will enter the land, and as far as God is concerned, it is as good as done. That is the reason a great deal of prophecy is stated in what is known as the prophetic tense in the Old Testament. It is stated in the past tense, although it speaks of a future event. You see, friends, as far as God is concerned, when He says something is going to come to pass, it has already come to pass in His program. God's purpose is not destroyed. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When ye be come into the land of your habitations, which I give unto you, Numbers 15 1-2. God is now telling them things that they are to do when they enter the land. 40 years later, Israel, in a new generation, entered the land, and they did the things which their fathers neglected to do. And will make an offering by fire unto the Lord, a burnt offering, or a sacrifice in performing a vow, or in a freewill offering, or in your solemn feasts, to make a sweet savor unto the Lord, of the herd, or of the flock. Then shall he that offereth his offering unto the Lord bring a meat offering of a 10th deal of flour, mingled with the 4th part, of an hin of oil, Numbers 15 3-4. Now God goes on to talk to them about this offering. A hin of oil was to be put on it, which speaks of the Holy Spirit. Then there was to be the 4th part of a hin of wine for a drink offering, and that speaks of joy. Notice how God says, When thou preparest a bullock, verse 8. God talks to them about what they will do in the land, as definitely as if it were done. Although this generation in the wilderness will turn back to idolatry, the new generation that is coming into the land will offer these offerings, which all speak of the person of the Lord Jesus Christ. My friend, how is it with you today? Probably on Sunday you go to church and your thoughts center on the Bible and the Lord Jesus Christ. But what happens to you on Monday when you go out into the wilderness of the world? Do you join in the idolatry of the world? Do you serve the gods of this world? Do you live a sacred, religious life on Sunday and a secular life during the rest of the week? I tell you, the Lord Jesus wants to go into the marketplace with you. He wants to go on the streets of this world and into the trading places with you. He is as real there, as he is in the church on Sunday. Now, he mentions something which we have previously seen in Leviticus, the offering for sins of ignorance. Then it shall be, if aught be committed by ignorance without the knowledge of the congregation, that all the congregation shall offer one young bullock for a burnt offering, for a sweet savor unto the Lord, with his meat offering, and his drink offering, according to the manner, and one kid of the goats for a sin offering. And the priest shall make an atonement for all the congregation of the children of Israel, and it shall be forgiven them, for it is ignorance, and they shall bring their offering, a sacrifice made by fire unto the Lord, and their sin offering before the Lord, for their ignorance. And it shall be forgiven all the congregation of the children of Israel and the stranger that sojourneth among them, seeing all the people were in ignorance. Numbers 15:24-26. Sins of ignorance remind us of a current issue. There is a great deal of debate about whether the heathen, who have never heard the gospel, are lost. May I say to you that they are not lost because they are ignorant of the gospel. They are lost because they are sinners. Sins of ignorance had to have an offering. So men are lost because they are sinners, whether or not they have heard the gospel. I believe every man should have the opportunity to hear the gospel and to make a decision, but men are lost long before they hear and reject the gospel. Jesus Christ came to seek and to save that which was lost, and all men are lost. That is their natural state. Lost mankind is not sitting down in grief today because they have not heard the gospel. If you have ever had the opportunity of taking the gospel to those who have never heard it, you will recognize that they are not anxious to hear it. Death penalty for breaking Sabbath. One incident that happened during the wilderness wanderings is startling to read. And while the children of Israel were in the wilderness, they found a man that gathered sticks upon the Sabbath day. And they that found him gathering sticks brought him unto Moses and Aaron, and unto all the congregation. And they put him in ward because it was not declared what should be done to him. And the Lord said unto Moses, The man shall be surely put to death, all the congregation shall stone him with stones without the camp. And all the congregation brought him without the camp, and stoned him with stones, and he died, as the Lord commanded Moses. Numbers 15:32-36. This is very severe. This makes one thing very clear. The death penalty was the penalty for breaking any of the 10 Commandments. We need to see this to understand what it means that the Lord Jesus Christ died our death for us. The ribband of blue. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and bid them that they make them fringes in the borders of their garments throughout their generations, and that they put upon the fringe of the borders a ribband of blue, and it shall be unto you for a fringe, that ye may look upon it, and remember all the commandments of the Lord, and do them, and that ye seek not after your own heart and your own eyes, after which ye used to go a-whoring, that ye may remember, and do all my commandments, and be holy unto your God. I am the Lord your God, which brought you out of the land of Egypt, to be your God. I am the Lord your God, Numbers 15:37-41. That border of blue, which is a heavenly color, was to remind them of the fact that they were God's people and they were to have a heavenly walk down here on this earth. There are many believers today who need to have that border of blue, to remind them that as God's children, they are set apart and are to live for the Lord Jesus Christ.